What is going on YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you another match from the RMC locals. Now this is going to be between myself on the left. I'm going to be playing Agumon Bond of Bravery with the Jesmon package, also known as Jesbond, and on the right we're going to be playing against Security Control. Now this is a list that has been going around the internet just a little bit because the people have been wanting to try the Agumon with the Jesbond, the package, but the thing is with this deck is you do kind of drop a lot of consistency in this deck. The Agumon Bond of Bravery deck and the Jesmon deck both kind of lack some of consistency, so when you add them together they can be a little bit inconsistent. But we are going to go ahead and get a couple Agumon out here and just start trying to go face, get a couple swings in. Gonna hit the Reinforced Memory Boost followed by the Holy Wave, so neither of the Agumon actually get deleted, but we do give our opponent a little bit of resource there with that Reinforced Memory Boost, as well as with the Agumon's living. I do play into the Sorajo, so I just play the Huckmon because my opponent's going to gain the memory either way. I would have preferred to not have to go with this game plan because now my opponent not only has the 4 memory to play this Izzy-Jo, but is also going to be able to now have the Black Source for the Beltstorm to clear the board. And if I wasn't giving my opponent 4 memory, they would have had to extend their Reinforced Memory Boost to be able to make that play. Or if I didn't hit the Reinforced Memory Boost, then they would have just been in a not as good position because I would have been able to keep my rookies on board and they would have had to clear. But they are going to be able to go with the Weltstormer, which does give me a decent amount of memory to build up. So I'm going to go into the Altruist mode here, just starting to try to build up, and then I can go into the Marcus. This is going to allow me to get my memory, and if I start swinging in with Greymons, I can go ahead and get the memory gain there. I'm going to be looking to draw as much as possible here quickly so I can try and hit both the Jesmon cards as well as Delicate Plan, so that way I can just go for these big swings. My opponent's going to keep building up large security boards and be able to clear essentially everything that I have now that they have the Black Tamer on board. They have all the color sources that they need to be able to just answer everything that I do, as well as now having 2 Reinforced Memory Boosts, making it so that they basically have all the memory that they're going to need to be able to go into a big option card on one of their turns, as well as being able to keep it on their turn so that they can play 2 cards, which is very devastating. I'm going to swing with the Jesmon. I got to get something going. I don't have the Delicate Plan yet, but I'm going to play the Seal to gain a memory. Go ahead and hit the Izzy-Jo. I'm not going to be able to unsuspend because I don't have the Savior Huck, so it's a bit weaker of a Jesmon, but I didn't have the stack as it is, so I'm just going to have to build back up in raising anyway. And so getting the Jesmon out is going to force my opponent to have to clear this off, as well as I get the Seal out. Now, if you saw, I was a little bit hesitant about playing the Seal because I didn't really want to play into the Izzy-Jos. I just kind of wanted to get some checks going, but now we're going to see a 3rd Reinforced Memory Boost coming out, and now my opponent just has a lot of resources. They're going to be able to do pretty much everything that they want. They're going to be able to boost up. I believe they are going to boost up again. They don't really care about having these for the memory sources. They just want the recovery, and they want to be able to use this so that they can play multiple cards per turn, or just put me at the lowest minimal memory so that way I'm not able to develop as much as they would if they were just able to give me a bunch of memory. So gonna boost up the 6, gonna play the Holy Wave so that they can recover 1, and then go into the Magna Agumon, so once again that they can recover again. So just using all of the Reinforced Memory Boost memory to go and recover, not clearing off the Jesmon, but that is fine because I'm only clearing 1 check, so my opponent isn't too threatened by that. I can go and probably play out some more Sister Mods and get some stuff on board, but I am likely just to get my board cleared anytime soon. Since I am swinging in without the Delicate Plans, I could hit something like an Ultimate Flare and Iron Fisted Onslaught to get this cleared. An Ultimate Flare would be a little bit sad because it would clear off both my Jesmon and my Sister Mont Blanc. Gonna hit 2 Izzies, just gonna keep the cards in the same order from the first Izzy, so skipping a little bit of the process there. Don't need to show the cards again if you already have it in the order that you want, but in the current board state that we're at, I really can't play around my opponent's Tamers. They are just gonna be able to gain the 6 memory from those Tamers no matter what, and going to 9 minimum, so I'm gonna go ahead and play an Agumon and Digivolve into a Greymon in the battle area and not in the raising area, so that way I can potentially keep this Agumon in the back. So if I promote, I can go into Bond if I need to, and that way I'd be able to pop this Magna Agumon and be able to get a few checks going. But as of right now, my opponent has the 9 memory that they're going to start the turn with, plus the Reinforced Memory Boost, so now they can play the Wyvern's Breath and pop my Jesmon. It's only at 13k because of the 1 seal, so not going to be able to help me there. And now my opponent can swing security. I'm going to be able to hit tie, which is very helpful. I got 1 of each of my Tamers out now. Hitting that tie earlier would have been a lot better with the Jesmon, but I did just have the one of Marcus, but we're going to have to play with it now. I can potentially start to build up and raising into another Jesmon if I want, but now we're going to see my opponent boost up and play the Ornismon, putting me to 8 and popping my Greymon, so I'm not going to be able to get the 2 checks there. But I do have the Agumon coming out, so I can gain 1 and draw 1. I don't think I have the bond in hand, and so I'm not going to be able to go for that play. That would have been nice because I would have been able to pop the Ornismon and then get a few checks going. I am going to expend the Agumon here, so that way I can start to get some draws going. I am starting to build up into a Jesmon off of the Agumon, and this is a bit of a mistake on my end. I wanted to keep the Agumon as an Agumon for potential bond plays, and so I built up with the Jesmon, but now with this Jesmon not having an egg, I'm not going to be able to get the extra check with the tie, so I do believe that was a mistake on my end. I should have just built up the stack on the Agumon and just not worried about the bond as much and not valued the bond as highly. I did play the delicate plan, and so the Iron Fisted Onslaught's not going to happen, and neither is that reinforced memory boost that we hit. That was just a slight mishap on my end. Whenever you play cards like Delicate Plan, you should just keep them on the board next to the Digimon, so that way people can remember that it is being hit. Me and my opponent do playtest this match a lot, so it was just a little bit of a muscle memory, that reinforced memory boost coming out, but we did get that fixed. Now, gonna go ahead and swing in with my Sistermons here. I could have considered swinging in with the Sistermon first, so that way with the second check of the Jesmon, I would have been able to get another Sistermon outplayed, but I wanted to go ahead and swing with the Delicate Plan swings first, and so not going to be able to get a Sistermon off that second swing. But now my opponent's at 0 security left. I do have a few Digimon on board. I did expend one of my Agumons, and so considering that my opponent's likely going to try and clear off the board here, unless I hit another one, I might not be able to win this turn. My opponent's going to swing targeting the Jesmon. I do block with the Blanc, and after seeing that swing with the Ornismon, I do believe that my opponent probably doesn't have the option cards to be able to clear off. An Ultimate Flare would be able to clear off the board. An Iron Fisted Onslaught's only going to be able to get rid of the Jesmon, and the Wyvern's Breath itself is also only going to be able to get rid of the Jesmon, so I don't believe my opponent has the cards to do it. They Digivolve into the Zwart defeat, and when I saw that, it looks like they are trying to cycle to find the cards to try to save them. They are going to need Ultimate Flare at this point, but they're going to play the Iron Fisted Onslaught as the only card that they have, and then I can just swing in with the Agumon for game and take this game 1. Now going into game 2, of course my opponent is going to choose to go second. Security Control never really wants to go first because they are going to be expending so much memory, but I can turn 1 play the Huckmon. I do only hit the Jesmon and bottom decks a couple crucial cards, but it is okay. Having the Jesmon is fine. I can see that I have tie in hand, and I do also have one of the Greymons in hand, so now I can go ahead and swing 2 checks. I'm going to swing the first one and hit the Izzy Joe, and then now be able to hit the Magna Angemon, and that will take me down, which is unfortunate. But now I can play down the tie, and we have the Jesmon in hand, so once I can build up into a Jesmon, I can start to go for a little bit better swings with this tie. The first game I was only swinging for 1 checks, and I was kind of getting lucky with those checks of it not going down. I can once again go into another Greymon just to cycle, trying to find a rookie to put in the raising. Once again, this list is fairly inconsistent considering that it's a couple different archetypes, so this game is going to show that very much. I have no other choice but to just play the Agumon here now. I don't want to give my opponent too much memory and play something like an ultimate because it's likely just going to get cleared anyway, and so my opponent's going to play the Ornismon, which is going to clear off my Agumon, and I don't draw a rookie, so I'm going to just keep playing cards. Since my opponent gave me so much memory at this point, I just hard play the Jesmon. I could have considered playing an ultimate here and then going into the Jesmon so that way I could get the extra draw, but I'm just going to have to force my opponent to have the clear here. Now there are just so many cards that can clear it with the Ultimate Flare and the Wyvern's Breath and the Iron Fisted Onslaught. There was a little bit of cut there just because we did have to go help out the TO with something really quick, but nothing on the board happened or changed, so the Iron Fisted Onslaught is going to come out and pop my Jesmon. I'm going to go ahead and play the Altruist mode now. Once again, not having the rookie to be able to build up, which is something that would have been nice. I would have had a pretty decent stack with the tie coming out and the Jesmon being searched, but my opponent's just going to keep swinging Security Tech +2. I'm falling very far behind. At this point, if I'm not able to get rid of this Ornismon on this turn, which would would have to be my opponent not clearing this Ultras mode and me going into Jesmon. But again, I'm just going to play another Ultras mode after my opponent clears it. They're going to go ahead and go into their turn. They're going to swing with Ornithmon once again, clearing off my last check, and then my opponent does play the Wyvern's Breath to pop the Ultras mode, and I just scoop it up there. I have no way to get rid of this Ornithmon or block it, and so next turn my opponent's just going to be able to swing anyway. So going into game 3, I'm going to have my opponent go first because I want them to be giving me as much memory as possible. The cheapest thing Security Control can do is just pass the turn, but likely they are going to play a Tamer here, but we're actually just going to see the Reinforced Memory boost come out. This is going to make it so that I have 6 memory, which is great, but they get 2 very powerful hits, being able to go into that on top of the stack, and so now I'm going to have to play around that. I am able to hit a decent stack going in this time. I can go into the Greymon, into the Savior Hook, so this is the exact stack that I am looking for. If I can go into the Jesmon, and right away my opponent giving me that 6 memory means that I can get that turn 1 Jesmon with the stack that I want. I'm going to be able to swing Security Attack +1 with the Greymon, and then be able to unsuspend with the Savior Hook as long as I have a Sistermon. And so my opponent's going to have to play around this. Once I hit the Delicate Plan, I will be able to go pretty deep into this. My opponent's going to play the Magna Agumon, so the top security check is no longer what they got off the Reinforced Memory boost. Now I really don't want to be going and promoting my Jesmon here, but with how my hand's looking, I don't really think I have too much of a choice. I can go ahead and swing and play the Sistermons and get some draws going, so I'm going to go ahead and swing 2 chicks, hit Tie and Mat, and then hit the Zwart Defeat that we saw get put on top with the Reinforced Memory boost, and then the Tie and Mat alongside that is a pretty good combo for my opponent. Now that Zwart Defeat's going to be able to swing 2 check. I did hit the Delicate Plan off of the Blanc draw, and so I'm considering if I want to play it now and for those 2 checks, or if I want to potentially save it for later. I decided to use it now so that way I can just get some safe checks going. Didn't end up mattering, didn't hit either of my opponent's option cards. I will live the Ornithmon because I do get the boost when playing a Digimon, so I'm sitting at a 14k. Now I'm going to play an Agumon and then just go ahead and Digivolve into a Bauhuck, getting some cycling going. My opponent's going to be going to 3 with the Tie and Mat, asking what my DP is at. I'm just at 11 now since it's not my turn no longer, and so my opponent's likely considering swinging over my Jesmon with the Zwart Defeat. Now if my opponent does commit that swing, I could block with the Blanc. Now it just has to think about what my opponent's option cards are that they could clear with. If they're going to swing with the Magna Agumon first, I'm going to see what that hits. It hits the Huckmon, so it doesn't matter. They're going to be swinging. Right now thinking about if they want to swing into the Jesmon or if they want to swing into security. They do say that they want to swing into the Jesmon, so I think about if I want to block. I decide I go for the block because that's way if my opponent wants to clear off one of my Digimon, they'll only be able to clear off one with either the Ultimate Flare, the Iron Fisted Onslaught, or the Wyvern's Breath, as to where if I did let the attack go through, they could have hit the Ultimate Flare and been able to clear off my entire board at that point. So now I'm still left with the Bauhuck at least, which is something. I can use this to start to build up. The thing is my opponent now has the Zwart Defeat with Security Attack +1, and as we saw from the second game, with the Security Attack +1, they can start to get very aggressive and just put me too far behind. I am going to decide to commit the Bauhuck trade, so that way my opponent doesn't get too many checks, but now they're going to swing the Security Attack +1, and on the first check, hit the bond, so it is going to go down, not going to get the second check, and I don't have anything on board for them to clear with the on deletion, which means that it was essentially cleared for as cheap as I can get it, which is nice. That does mean that I am feeling pretty good now with both my opponent's Digimon off the board, and now I'm having this tie with the Agumon potential. I am going to be okay because if they play something like the Ornithmon again, I can now go into bond. I do have one in hand. I'm not going to go into it this turn obviously because I would just be trashing 2 security to get 1 security check, and that doesn't make any sense just for it to die at the end of the turn. So I'm going to go ahead and commit the Huckmon here just to start cycling out, and I can play the tie. My opponent's going to go to 3 anyway, and this way when I start to build up into a bigger stack later, I do get that boost. The tie boost is also going to be very good. Being able to get resources in this matchup does help a lot, considering the fact that this deck is fairly inconsistent and can be bricky, but as of right now, I'm not feeling too bad with my opponent not having any Digimon on board that are going to be hard for me to clear, and just having the Bushi Agumon in back, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I decide to go into the Agumon on top of the BT6 tie. That way I can try to cycle for a rookie to go into raising, and I also have another tie in hand, and so I can just replace it, but at this point it doesn't matter. If I'm not going to have an Agumon in raising, I can't take advantage of it anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and play the Blanc. My opponent's going to go to 3, and this allows me to get another draw, start to cycle a little bit more. My opponent's still with only 3 memory and not having any of the other memory tamers like Izzy Joe or the Sora Joe. That way they can't go above 3 right now, and so if they want to play something big to clear off these blocks, they're going to have to give me a decent amount of memory, and doing so may make it so that I can just get some more things hard played that could potentially stay. But as of right now, my opponent's going to have to clear off both of these blocks, just because if I was able to swing with both those blocks and go into the Agumon, then I would be able to go in for game. Now, my opponent swung with the Bushi and it did survive, unfortunately. So now I'm starting to get a little bit low on security, which can be an issue, because if this Bushi does potentially survive another check, it might become an issue. I do play a couple Greymons out. I was considering just playing one Greymon and then Digivolving on top of it, but either way, my opponent likely has the cards to clear it out. I wanted to play 2 Digimon out so that way I could threaten my opponent to clear their 2 checks and potentially go into a Agumon, which is going to be my saving grace for the moment. But my opponent plays the Gvelschwarmer, clears the board, and that's kind of what I expected, but I do hit a rookie finally, and my opponent doesn't have any Digimon on board, so I do have a turn to start to develop. I could either build up in raising and try to get a bigger stack going, or I can go wide on board. I do decide to play the Agumon, search for a tamer, it doesn't matter, but I do have the tie in hand already, so I can play that out. Now next turn, no matter what, I'll be able to go to 4, and I'll be able to get an extra draw going, and if my opponent does choose to play a Digimon, I'll be able to go into Bond, trash the top security, clear the security check, and then hopefully the Agumon can go in for game. My opponent did have a slight sequencing error there, not hatching before they play the reinforced memory boost, but I'm not going to rule shark my opponent in a playtesting game, especially when I would prefer them to play the game in its fullest state so I can actually test how this deck is going to do. I do keep the Agumon in raising and play out another tie so I can get some more resources. Now, because of this reinforced memory boost on the board, I don't think I'll actually be able to go into Bond of Bravery for this game, because if I do trash my last security, then I give my opponent the opportunity just to go into one of their Bushi Agumon, which they have 3 or 4 in the list, and with the reinforced memory boost, they'll always have the memory to go up into it, so I'm going to have to find a different game plan to go into. My opponent's going to play the Magnagumon here to recover back up to 5, which is a bit unfortunate because I really need to try to get going. I don't have a Jesmon in hand, so I can't go for something big like that. I can go into the Savior Hook, and then I can go into an Altruist mode on top for 1 thanks to its Digivolution cost. I'm just trying to find a Jesmon here because I want to be able to go for those big swings. Gonna go into another Altruist mode, once again swinging, and then the 3rd Altruist mode. All 3 of the Altruist modes I play in this deck are now in the stack, and still no Jesmon. However, I do have this Altruist mode at 12k thanks to its inheritables. It does have security attack +2, so it's able to swing for 3 checks. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Seal out, so that way I can activate the Savior Hookmon's effect and give it Delicate Plan here. So I'm going to be swinging for 3 checks, and as long as I can survive here and not hit something that has 12k like the Ornismon, we will be good. We're going to see the Zwart defeat come out, doesn't battle, live the 2 checks, and then I'm going to be able to swing in for the last 2 checks. The Izzy's going to be hit. The Izzy does matter because if my opponent hits the 3 blacks, it will end my turn and I won't be able to get the checks, but the top check is the Ornismon, so it doesn't matter, so then I'm just able to swing in with the Agumon there. But didn't need the Jesmon. The Altruist mode triple stack is going to come out and help with activating that tie and being able to get the last 5 checks with the Delicate Plan. So this deck is very interesting. If you play Delicate Plan, you'd normally just have a good advantage versus the security control, because if you can go for those big swing turns, you can just potentially end the game out of nowhere like we saw there. My opponent went up to 5 with the Magnagumon, and I was able just to clear the next turn without even going into Jesmon. But if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, because I'm going to be bringing you a bunch of BT6 content and soon EX1 content, and I'm also doing a lot of consistent streaming now, so be sure to check those out either here on YouTube or on my Twitch, link in description. But with that being said, I hope you have a great day. Happy New Year. Peace out.